brings viewers, or at least helps somebody. I think that's the overall vision, is that at least, hey, will this help and assist folks that are listening?
Well, if it helps, my girlfriend thought it was fantastic.
Did she?
She did, yeah.
And my daughter thought we were awesome as well.
Fantastic.
That's all that matters.
I mean, it just could be, they're being nice. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it.
And my wife said the same.
Yeah, excellent, perfect.
It's like, okay.
Gotta love it.
My fear was are we good enough to listen to?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not gonna lie, but obviously, because I did the editing, so I've heard our podcast more times than anyone should. Like going back, cutting this out, doing that. It's like, I know it inside now. It's memorized, right? Okay. But I listened to it in the vehicle as well, just to see. I wanted to see what it sounded like in every aspect. Yeah. So I want to see how so I listen to podcasts a lot in the vehicle, and I want to see how the volumes worked compared to other podcasts. And I think we're okay. I think maybe the intro music's a bit louder, so I might bring that down a little bit on the next mix, but it's not too bad. Nice. So yeah. Okay. Here's now I'm just gonna look at the I'm trying to get the there it is, analytics for the first episode. 5 plays on Apple Podcasts. Spotify is at, let's refresh that. It says 4 plays. 4 plays on Spotify, and I don't know the answer for iHeartRadio because I have no idea how the hell it got onto iHeartRadio. I hit a button and it said, okay, we're putting it on there for you. I'm like, okay. I got an email saying it was there. I'm like, okay. I have no idea.
I like it.
But I searched it. I went to iHeartRadio and I found our podcast. So it's there.
So we like Radio Caroline now then?
Yeah, pretty much.
We just need a boat and some sea and...
Pretty much. I guess those podcast places, they're just getting the information that's stored by the host, right? So through the XML file, they're getting the source of the MP3, logo, description of episodes. So I guess there's nothing to really manage with the other sources, I guess.
They want the information, don't they? I think.
Yeah. So
because if we bring it back into our world of IT, the more you talk about it, the more it can be more AI relevant, the more it can be put into ChatGPT, and all of that. I would imagine that's that's kind of the way it's going to be, or what it would look for, which is nice. Yeah. So
makes sense. But I'm happy. I'm happy with what we did. I think it was a good first.
I liked it.
First round.
I was as nervous as all hell. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, I could see it. So. There we go. Maybe I'll splice this in. Hey, Simon, what are your lessons learned from the first podcast? Yeah.
Just lessons. Yeah. I think I'm going to be more relaxed.
Yeah.
As we do it more.
Yeah.
I felt very nervous, very apprehensive. But it's all the stuff that you would expect from, I guess, a competitive personality.
Yeah.
Is the content right? Am I talking right? Am I shifting around because all the stuff that the viewers are probably seeing, I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, in the first 5 minutes, I've touched my nose 3,000 times in the first 5 minutes of a podcast. What's the matter with me? So it's that kind of, that kind of nerves and all of that kind of thing. But I think overall, what have I learned? I've learned that this is a good thing to be doing.
Yeah.
People have confirmed our relevance, because again, our first question was, well, somebody tell me the reason why we shouldn't be doing this. And everybody, and I've asked them that. It's like, I don't want they're like, oh yeah, it's great. I don't want that. I want the reasons why we shouldn't be doing it. And therefore, because that then fuels the relevance, the question for being relevant, staying relevant, topics, guests that we want to invite onto the show, and stuff like that. So, question back to you: what did you think? What did you learn?
I got to stop doing this. I think that's why I have to do some audio editing, but I realize I frequently slap my lips. Just little things. I don't have to answer everything that you say with right. I found that a little bit annoying on myself. So I don't always have to fill up the space. When you're talking, once you're done talking, I don't always have to have something to say in response. I don't always have to go, right. So there we go. And slow down my speech. It's not a race.
Just relax. Yeah. Really, it's not a race.
Yeah, the podcast ain't going to go by faster.
Dude, you've just taught me something. I've been racing since my entire life. I've been racing, and now you're telling me it's not a race.
Not a race at all. Slow and steady, like the turtle. Right? Slow and steady.
Diesel power.
Yes, exactly. And of course, camera placement. Many things learned, and each episode will get better. So, fantastic
aspect, yes.
Also changed the logo on us. I didn't really change the logo. Yeah, because when I put on the logo I came up with that was on the podcast distribution, you see the silhouette of the city, very almost Frasier style, right?
Yeah.
You see the logo, and then I had a white circle with a black logo on the inside coming behind, almost looking like the moon. And I didn't really click that I was making it like the moon, but then I liked that look. But then I thought it would be even better if it were a speech bubble instead. So I've turned, it's exactly the same thing. I changed the font a little bit so it's a little bit more legible, but I have a little bubble tail on it. So now that, it's not, it looks like a little speech bubble, but it's also the moon. It doubles as the moon.
Well, you're having a chat with the yes men.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So speech bubbles. Sir. Lots of speech bubbles.
That's right. Speech bubbles matter.
They do. They matter. They certainly do.
Yeah, especially the blue ones if you're an Apple person. Anyway.
So should we do a recap? Should we recap on that first episode as well? Because I think it was a preamble, wasn't it? More than an actual topic.
Exactly.
I think we did a lot of conversation around what we are going to be talking about into the future. I think we are going to have guests. So thankfully, people have said, "Hey, I'll come on the podcast and chat with you."
Yeah. I haven't asked anyone yet. I really wanted to get the first one under the belt and see, but yeah.
Well, it changes the tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it helps validate a topic, validate opinion.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the fuel is in what's driving out. We're driven by our own experiences and knowledge in terms of what we're seeing, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing in our current day to day, Monday to Friday, even at the weekend.
Yeah.
Family time, friend time, professional time, networking events, all of that kind of stuff. So it's a general, it's a topic or a conversation around that. I think for this episode, we're going to take on age.
Perfect. And very relevant.
Super relevant.
Being an older gentleman myself, it's on the back of my mind frequently. Well, not frequently, not too much.
But I think it's also fair, Jason, that it's something that's probably only in the last 2 years become more relevant and more in the mind. Personally speaking, between the two of us.
Yeah.
Because it's not I struggle to recognize age. I don't struggle, actually. I don't recognize age, and it's only when I'll speak to folks that I've been friends with for years, or I'll have a conversation with mum and dad, and you'll kind of finish the conversation, and then I'll hang up the call, and there'll be something where I'll say as a comment like, "Oh wow, I can't believe we did that," and it was like Dad's just told me a story like that happened in the 90s, and then you put the chronological together, and it's like, oh my word, we're like 30 years ago.
Yeah, we're a quarter of the way through the century almost.
Yes,
right. Now stockpiling up ramen noodles and bottled water just 23 years ago. My goodness,
just stockpiling everything, but it's
right.
But it's the I don't feel any. I don't know about you, but I don't feel older.
No. The mirror lies a little bit.
The mirror, yes.
From how I feel. That's okay. I'm kind of digging the silver fox stage. I was hoping more silver fox up top, but jeans didn't. Yeah.
I'm kind of. I'm liking a bit of the silver. I'm definitely not in any way, shape, or form going to ever embrace the just for men look.
No.
That's not happening.
No.
It's going to be silver, and if I start to lose any more upstairs, then it will be a buzz cut.
Yeah, and for me, it almost feels like I'm being disingenuous, or that's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm not being genuine self by if I were to color anything.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't want to give away any feelings of insecurity, which I feel like, I think, correct or not, I feel sometimes that could be, and that's fine. But I don't know.
Do you think that some folks lose that security when they start giving up on certain things? And what I mean by giving up, that's not me kind of saying, okay, well, you're just throwing the white flag and just going to sitting on the couch. What I mean for context is when folks get to a certain number, they kind of go, oh, I'm a bit too old for doing that.
That's very dangerous.
Is that what? Because that's what scares me. That scares the living bejesus out of me. And that's probably why I spend a lot of time doing the exact opposite.
Yeah. Oh, I did that. That was my late 20s, early 30s. Like I had already put myself in a nice little I'm too old box by then. I don't know why I was doing that.
Had you really?
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
What were you doing then?
I have no idea. I don't know what it was. I think I was just in a race to just be that old man sitting on the couch, not really sure what that was, but I was already checking out of life. I don't mean in a bad way, but just like, no. I'm too old to do that, too old to do this. I mean, granted, there are still certain things I hold on to that I'm too old for. I don't feel comfortable in a dance club. I didn't in my late 30s, and I definitely don't in my late 40s. So that's okay. There's certain things I can be too old for, but not to shutter myself off of doing things. And I've done a lot more in the past 5 years than I ever had in the 10 years leading up to it. So
it's interesting because there is a saying out there, isn't there, that and I think it comes from athletics and sport, that sports people they die twice.
Interesting.
So simply put, you have your career of whatever sports person you are, and that life comes to an end,
right? Because
there is a shelf life on that, especially at a certain level.
Of course.
If you want to be at the top, then there's a shelf life to it.
Right.
What people don't pay attention to is what comes afterwards. There's quite a number of documentaries on Netflix at the moment that to me explain this perfectly well. So the athlete then has to reinvent themselves. So you go from sports world to Civvy Street, and a bunch of people that are kind of going, you're not relevant to me. This is what we do. This is how we earn $1. Like, you've been earning $1 paddling a boat, riding a bike, throwing a football, throwing a rugby ball, whatever it may be, pushing a hockey puck around. That's great. It's not relevant to what we do here, because we're stocks, we're IT, we are oil and gas pipeline business, we're drilling, we're moving, we're logistics, it's all that kind of stuff. So how is that? And that's the reinvention that we mentioned in our first podcast, right?
Exactly.
So sports career ends, you're getting into a new career, which will support you. Because the misconception of being a sports person is it's not everybody's making enough to survive.
No,
barely. So when you leave, the people that make up the numbers basically are kind of just about making enough. So you've got to you have to do something else afterwards.
And hopefully you put your pennies away when you had the chance.
If you can.
Yeah.
If you can. Yeah. So sports career dies, new career starts, and then you work through to retirement and everything else. So hence the reason sports people die twice.
Fair enough. Okay, I get that.
But I can also think that you can do that if you're doing a pivot shift, and that can happen mid-career.
Oh, very much so. And multiple times.
Yes,
as well.
Because it's difficult. It still comes back to the belief and the trust in in the person that you're taking this conversation to. Yeah. I have an idea, and I think I believe I can do this because XYZ experience and knowledge, which will drive this a field of expertise that I want to break into. It still requires somebody to say, go for it.
Yeah.
Do it. Because again, we know that the majority of people, leadership, if they're giving guidance based on their own fears, not your own, So it comes back to that, right? It's like, oh, I want to do this and I want to go in this direction. It's somebody coming back and saying yes, go for it. Because you have to keep reinventing, which again, it gets tougher and tougher to do that. The older you get, it does, because it takes a lot of energy.
Yes, definitely.
And we're talking physical energy, emotional energy. That the biggest thing is emotional energy. Recovery slows down. We've probably both had these conversations, where it's my God, Monday, Tuesday I was rocking it, and then Wednesday it's kind of like, okay, I need a timeout day. I'm still involved, but I need a break somewhere.
Yeah, and there's also the brain plasticity as well. I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but the ability to be able to pivot less, not always, but maybe statistically lessens as you get older. Harder to learn new languages when you get older, maybe, depending on the person. Not really sure. Like it's, I don't know. I just trying to look back at my own history. Is it easier or harder for me to learn new things now?
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels I have to put a lot more effort into it, and
probably because you've got clarity of mind. I think as you get older, you've got clarity of mind.
Yeah.
Which is the piece that scares a lot of people, because all of a sudden that's called direction. Where people are kind of, well, I need to find my direction. I need my purpose. Where is my purpose? What is my purpose? I'm losing my purpose. So once you kind of get that clarity, but it's also lonely, because you're probably likely to only do that on your own, unless you're fortunate to, I'm touching on my own experiences there. That's where self-belief comes into it. Back to what we mentioned in our first podcast. What are you going to do then? I'm going to look at Canada. I'll get us to Canada. How are you going to do that? I have no clue, but I know that we're going
excellent
that direction.
And there's something about that fear and excitement of it all. I mean, even relationships. I mean, I'm the pro at and our relationships. No, I should say that. But yeah, I mean, even those moments, as horrible as they can be exciting, and reinvent yourself, and the career, relationships, living situations as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've had. So I'm going to share, and I think I've shared this with you before, Jace, but I'm going to share a number of conversations I've had around the city where folks have. And it had to start again. It started to happen when I hit 50. They're like, "Oh, you're 50." I was like, "Yep." Thankfully, for whatever is going on in the gene pool, I don't necessarily look like a 50-year-old, which I'm happy with, and neither do you, by the way.
Thanks.
It was like, so that kind of brought on the more conversations around. As soon as there was this perception out there that once you hit 50, you're kind of in the last 15. You got 15 years. Yeah. And I remember thinking that to myself. I'm like, okay, I'm 50 now. Have I got 15 years to carry on doing what I want to do?
Right.
And I ran through this whole scenario in my head, which again, I'm kind of famous for doing, as my wife said. She said, you've had this whole conversation in your head, haven't you? And just you're hitting me with the answer. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. So 15 years, and then you get to 65, then what am I going to do? And it's the thing that scared me the most, and it is fear, is a stop at 65. And we call that thing retirement. And I'm like, do you know what? I don't want to do that. No. So I want to create something, a lifestyle, a way of working that allows me to keep doing what I love doing, which is what we both love doing, which is being part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's business solutions, that's IT solution, consulting, know-how, how to make a business function or help a business function and get to end results timely, cost effectively, and all of that kind of stuff. And that to me doesn't have an age limit on it. No. And more importantly, why should it have an age limit on it? Yeah. But what I noticed in these conversations was that there was a distinct difference between employees talking to me about having age conversations and retirement conversations.
I would expect so, yeah.
Versus consultants having conversations with me about about longevity, because I think, and then the third part of that was, how do I get from being an employee, Simon, to being a consultant? Because they're thinking, the shift is in the thinking of, well, if I can pivot to being a consultant, then that gives me more runway.
Yeah.
It gives me more purpose, more usefulness. Whereas as an employee, I have potentially an organisation that's kind of going, you just keep doing what you've been doing for us for the last 25 years, thanks, Jace. That's all we need you to do. And I'm like, you're turning people off. You're stopping ingenuity. You're stopping cognitive thought process. It's because you need. And this is a story that you told me. We're back to your playing the guitar.
Yeah.
When you first start playing a guitar, you're looking at the strings all the time. You're looking at the position of your fingers. When you're
thinking, you're stinking.
Yes,
so that's my musical saying.
Yeah, well, 100%. And well, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Auto tune or not auto tune.
Auto tune.
But when you see the folks that actually know how to play, they're not looking at any. In fact, more times than not, they're doing it with their eyes shut.
Right. Yes. You're in the moment. You're listening to those bends. Make sure that bend starts and ends when it should and feels right. So,
and that's the moving into HR. I think HR has got a tough problem because they've got a tough gig, because again, corporate HR I'm talking about, it's a difficult place to be. And again, I've seen it morph into lots of things and lots of purpose within the business. But again, it comes back to the leadership. It's kind of like, well, let your people be as good as they can be. Adjust the salaries to suit. Almost take away the corporate ladder. I guess what we're talking about is taking away the corporate ladder a little bit. Which is fine for the right people. If you want to be a great SharePoint developer, be a great SharePoint developer. I don't need you to be a director of SharePoint development for intergalactic integrations.
Right.
Don't need it.
And that I felt that pressure 10 years ago as well. I thought, well, I just want to be a workhorse doing a certain thing that I was doing and get better at that. But it felt like the next step I had to go on, due to my age, is management of something.
Yes.
And I don't mind being part of a team, and sure, being a soldier in a team and leading my troops to battle, but I don't want to be a manager telling a group of people to do things. I want to be in there doing the work. And that really bothered me. I didn't know what to do with it. And spun up my own damn company so I could do what the hell I wanted. Really was.
We're both similar that way, because I did exactly the same. I went through all the steps of the ladder to be, management, senior management, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was certain things to do that, but then if you look back at the fundamentals of what I loved about what I did and what I still continue to do. Was on the client side, and understanding the client business, and coming up with different ways, some of it different to the way the market's always run. Because I think it's kind of, sometimes it's glaringly obvious, isn't it? And the biggest compliment you can get from that, which has happened, are clients after a period of time saying, I don't know how you've done what you and your team have done, Simon, but thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Because it's a different way of looking at stuff, right? A different way of execution. I'm going to share some, because I jumped into ChatGPT, as you know.
God, love my ChatGPT. That's for sure.
Well, get this. So I asked it this question, and I asked it this question: are younger IT professionals more productive than older ones? And it's given me 3 paragraphs.
Fantastic.
Productivity in IT professionals not solely determined by age. Thank you. I like that. Whilst younger professionals may bring fresh perspectives, technological influency and adaptability, older professionals often possess values, experience, domain knowledge, and problem-solving skills. Productivity is influenced by the combination of factors such as individual motivation, skills, work environments, and access to resources, all of which we've chatted about here. And it's fine, and it makes sense. So if you put that question into ChatGPT, I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. But interestingly, I switched I switched the question around and said, are older IT professionals more productive than younger ones?
And
I left it. I had a spinning wheel for 20 minutes. No answer.
Really? You stumped ChatGPT.
I don't know whether I stumped it. I don't know. I'm genuinely answering the question with I have no clue.
Well, hey, I have a computer in front of me. Let's try that right now.
Do it right now.
Just for shits and giggles.
Are older IT professionals more productive than younger ones? Because here's the thing, Jace. I don't know why age is even a consideration.
No. I think I
don't know why any category of what the modern world is trying to put ourselves into is a consideration. It's best people, right?
I forgot where I had a train of thought that just immediately disappeared. It was fantastic. That left me. So I'll come back to it when it comes back later. So I'll give the answer to this one.
Okay.
So I verbatim asked, what are older IT professionals more productive than younger ones?
Yeah.
So
is it giving you an answer now?
It did, yeah. Productivity in the IT industry, like any other field, is influenced by a wide range of factors, and age is just one of them. Whether older IT professionals are more productive than younger ones is a complex and highly context-dependent question. Here are some considerations to keep in mind. Experience. Older IT professionals often have more experience, which can translate into a deeper understanding of systems and processes. Makes sense, yeah. They have encountered a wider variety of problems and developed effective solutions over time. Adaptability. Younger IT professionals may be more adaptable to new technologies and tools as they grow up with them. They may be quicker to learn and adopt the latest trends, which can be advantageous in fast-paced IT environments. Also, work ethic. Productivity is influenced by an individual's work ethic, motivation, commitment. These traits can vary widely among professionals of all age. So
here's something. If it's generational, because I think the narrative that's being pushed, the more and more I've done some research into the age and all of that kind of stuff and keeping yourself relevant, it seems very individualistic.
Very much.
I would say that.
Yeah.
So what works for me and what works for Jason probably won't work for another 7 or 8 people.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's not, the correct answer is, well, that if it works for you, Simon, awesome. If it works for you, Jason, awesome. Great stuff. I'll see you at the bar on Friday, and again, that's fine. That works.
I think so. I think one of the things is I think there's just an assumption that when you're older, you're not as willing to flex and bend and
which
I think that may be, but that's not fair to.
No, I don't think it's fair.
Yeah. So
because I think it's a very generalistic comment to make.
I mean, when it comes to technology and IT, I'm always interested with the latest and greatest all the time. I'm the kind of person who, when I know that a new OS is coming out, I'm clicking refresh until I can download it.
Yes.
I'm excited about everything new phone OSs, OS for my computer. I'm just excited. My entire day yesterday, Simon, was playing with Microsoft's Power Virtual Agents. So I could do chatbot stuff and see what I can automate with that. And fantastic, by the way.
You haven't automated me out on my phone, have you?
Not
have you got
yet.
a chatbot doing
it's coming. It's coming though.
Come on.
Oh yeah, but I'm just excited about technology all the time, and I have seen it. I've seen people in my age group who aren't excited about new technology. I am, and I've also seen on the flip side younger people in the industry who are both excited and not excited to try new things. It is completely, it's an individual. It's not age related.
It isn't age related, but I think it is, and this will be another topic for our podcast. It is mental welfare and mental wellness.
Yeah.
Because I think what technology does, it sucks us into this immediate world of validation.
Yeah.
That my belief is we need a separation from. So again, I'm bringing that back into, hold tight a second. So it's we're into that world of everything's kind of virtual now, which is technology, and technology is awesome.
Yeah.
Like technology empowers me through COVID to do 15 meetings a day back to back and not have to leave my chair or my desk.
Yeah.
Okay, which we put under productivity.
Yeah.
which again is it is great. But when you look at the analysing later on, when it's to now, the last 3 years on, there's a fatigue to it.
Yeah.
Which is, it's put the phone down, turn the laptop off, take 2 steps back and just get outside. So get outside, have some fresh air, do something that's not technology. It's not reliant on technology.
Yeah.
And I saw that as a full-time bike rider, and it's actually a part now in psychologies that they teach these riders to have non-technology days. Can you believe that?
Oh, fantastic. Well, that makes sense.
Where the coach will basically say, if you're a runner, just go run.
Right.
Take your heart rate monitor band off.
Yeah.
None of that. No watch.
Don't need it.
No earbuds. Like, how many people do you see running with earbuds? It's like,
yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah. But it's usually podcasts like Chat with the Yes Man. And other Calgary related podcasts.
If I'm outside, I haven't got any earbuds in.
Yeah. Okay.
If
I need to be more in the moment.
If I'm inside training, then yes, I've usually got a set of these on. And,
fair enough. Yeah.
And, you know, I'm aware with the fares because I want to be present and focused on the actual training session.
Makes sense.
But if you're doing it to a certain level and you need to hit the number, because again, we live in whatever industry you're in, sport that you're in, it's all correlates back to the number.
The metrics.
It's the metrics.
Did I beat that last? Yeah.
It's all back to the metrics.
Yeah.
So now
gamification of life.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
It is.
So,
my point is that the people need a rest from that.
Yeah.
So it's enabling yourself to say it's okay.
Yeah.
You are enough today. Stop.
Fantastic.
Or you are enough at the end of the week. Give it a break. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's my, because technology. But I was going to come back to adaptability because
yes.
Because on the age front, when we're 50, and I'm sorry, I'm aging you by about a few months there, and I apologize.
6 or 7 months.
I kind of really,
yeah,
a few weeks. But in being a kid in the 70s, 80s to now, tell me what your opinion is on adaptability in those generations.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
What have you had to adapt to? What changes in your life?
Oh my goodness,
huge
yeah.
adaptation?
Well, first off, I think the biggest, if we're going to keep it in technology, I think the biggest one was the internet. There's life before the internet and life after. I frequently watch older TV shows and movies and go, that was filmed before the internet. Like the idea that these people are walking around and don't have a phone that they could just immediately contact somebody with, or keep in contact with what's happening their thumb on what's happening in the world. That's I mean, my goodness, so many things have happened. Unfortunately, no one else has been to the moon. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that one. That one bothers me because I'm a space nerd. Astrophysics.
We should have had more people on the moon.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the last person was 2 years or a year and a half before I was born. Was the last person, Apollo 18, and nothing since. Nothing. We've just had a few shuttles go up in the space station. So not a few.
It's
a lot
strange.
of space shuttles. Yeah.
It's a bit strange.
I was expecting a lot more.
But from
anyway.
IT, our kids grew up with IT. And now, how many restaurants have you been into where the whole family's out for an evening meal and the kids are sat there with
the phone? Yeah.
That's what I mean about the IT break.
Yeah.
Like, give me the phone.
Right. And the funny but then you start having those dopamine hits with your technology, and it is a hard thing to pull yourself away. It's like not dipping your hand into the bowl of candy to a degree.
Because software's smart. The people that build software is smart. Yeah. They use neuropsychology to build in that are specific to human behavior. That have studied like chronic addiction.
And feed that.
And how to feed chronic addiction, and they put that into the software.
If you haven't been on Facebook within the past 6 hours, it's going to notify you that somebody has done something on Facebook. just to let you know.
But you've got here's the key thing though. You've got the option to turn your notifications on.
That is very true.
You can turn the notifications
on. You can, but you might miss something. I'm just saying, you might miss a cat video.
Yes. But it's but on the age thing, it's I've forgotten how many times. So the leading authorities on this kind of social, I always call them social scientists. So Simon Sinek, big follower of him. We both watched the Diary of the CEO. Been some great guests on there.
Oh my goodness. My second favorite podcast.
It's just after Diary of the Yes Men. Diary of the Yes Men. Chat with the Yes Men.
Chat with the Yes Men.
You need to cut that bit.
Cut that bit. Yes. Back up. It's my second. It's my second favorite podcast after Chat with the Yes Men.
As it should be. Chat with the Yes Men.
That's right.
And they say that we've got a shift in social norms. And that the way that they look at age, or the way that's becoming more apparent with age, is that now we need our generation to help the generation that are coming into corporate life.
Yeah.
Because all the social norms that we grew up with are now no longer exist.
No.
Like it's gone. So your social norm is a phone.
Yeah.
So if you want advice, when we were growing up, buying a house, buying a car, you knew somebody that could give you some good advice.
Yeah.
And that was either written down on, it was either napkin advice, or it was friend of a friend of a friend, go see this person. That's kind of all gone. So when it comes to age and retirement, there's a growing opinion or growing discussion around putting your tenured, experienced people overseeing your younger ones, not to help them do the job, just to help them
mentor them.
Yes, but the mentorship, interestingly, the mentorship's not necessarily around the technology of pounding code. It's because that's going to happen anyways.
No, yeah,
because
exactly.
if you've hired like for like, then it's going to be, oh man, I found a different way of doing it. And if we put a semicolon here and a comma here and a closed bracket here, then look what happens.
It's much like you were talking about before, where if you wake up in the morning, the news is already out of date, and if you're reading it in the afternoon, you're 6 hours out of date. So same thing with technology. These kids, the younger generation, can wrap their head around the code, and they have it in doing it faster. But you need the older generations on how you can actually apply that in business world.
Apply it, because this is what it means, and this is what it means if you're stood in the field, doing something to a pipeline. Then the best way to understand what's going on in the pipeline is to go talk to the person in the field that spent 35 years of their life doing that particular function, because it'll be, number one, I personally think it'll be one of the most fascinating conversations you'll ever have, because it'll cover wildlife, weather fronts. Do you remember that time in 19 whatever it was when we had to like break through 3 foot of ice before we could get down to the switch off valve and things like that, on the pipeline, all that. Like, that's a wonderful conversation, but it's a conversation and a story that needs to be shared, that possibly isn't being shared because we're in a rush to not talk to our older generation of folks.
Fair enough. And I've even heard horror stories as well, where some organizations, none that I know specifically that come to mind, just anecdotal things where they get rid of some of the older talent, and the younger talent just, we need the older guy because he understands how these systems talk to each other. And sometimes vindictively the person who was turfed out in favor of the half price younger guys, middle fingers blazing while he walks out, says, figure it out yourself. So
it's different. Hence shifting to a consultant, I personally think gives a longer runway. And I'll share a kind of a funny story. So I was going for a coffee, and she'll know I'm talking about her if she listens to this. But she sent me a text. It was Simon, when are we grabbing coffee? I've got an update. And I was like, oh, updates. Well, I like updates. And she said, oh yeah, it's the R word. And I said, well, it better not be the R word that I'm thinking is the R word, because you need to stick around to help me to help me help us and the younger generation that are coming through. Like I'm not allowing you to do that. And her response, it was hilarious. She said, "There's a lot of R words in the dictionary, Simon, and I'm pretty sure it's not the R word that you're thinking." Like, okay, I'm good with that then. I'll see you at 10 o'clock. What variety of coffee would you like? And then, there's a long list of whatever it is, caramel macchiato. But again, it's the same. It's because I've spoken to her at length with it. She's gone through that journey of understanding that retirement, whilst it looks great, it's not it's a lot of people don't want it. A lot of people don't want it. And then transversely, we've got let's go back to the start of it all. Person that I introduced you to at the beginning of at the top of the show while we were doing our sound checks and stuff. I've known him 9 years now, and worked with him his first role out of university.
Oh, nice, excellent.
And it's tough because it's like, well, how do you come into that recruitment industry and learn and lean on people for that understanding of how to have a conversation with somebody that's looking for help, and to give sage advice and direction and stuff like that. I don't know whether sage is the right word to use, but it might be a little bit too cold. But it's giving. You need a lot of EQ for that.
I have found in the industry, both working for myself, smaller and large organizations, I think I have personally found that the biggest kiss of death that kind of goes hand in hand with age is hubris. I found...
Explain that. What do you mean?
People... I'm not sure if this is... Again, I've only really worked in the IT industry, so I can't speak to other industries and what it's like. But you come in, you become a professional, you get really good at something.
Yep.
And then frequently, I've seen this, the brain switches off. I'm really good at this, and everything else that's new sucks because this is the best. So that could be like an older operating system. Maybe they've become really good at Windows 2000. Dating myself a little bit. They know it inside and out, and they're not willing to. They are unwilling to learn, and they put up their walls. This is the best way of doing it. Everything else is stupid.
That's dangerous. Yeah. I'd even say that's professional suicide a little bit.
It is, yeah. And I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot in the industry. So
what would that exist though?
I'm not really sure what it is. It is always what's the word I'm looking for? It's always puzzled me as to why that happens. The reason why I'm in IT or in technology is I'm just fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by anything new. I do have my certain favorites, I guess I like to use, but I try not to get stuck in it too much. I don't understand why people get into technology if they're not interested in anything new. I question people's motivations for getting into a field that constantly changes if they don't want to change. That
is perception.
Yeah.
And I've got another story that hopefully will line that up for you. So I met a dear friend of mine that was in Canada. I rode a lot of miles with him, with a cancer charity that we both used to support back in the UK. So we rode across France together, around Scotland and all over the place. But he is retired now, but he was a pilot. And he spent the last few months, years in the simulator, which apparently is now that's kind of the new thing. Like there's a lot of and you see it in Formula One, right? There's a lot of the driving that's actually done in the simulator, rather than actually on the track in the car.
Right.
Personally, I still believe that drives a gap. Like there's a delta there, right? But apparently the simulator's going in the same direction with airplanes and all of that kind of stuff. So you buy a new airplane, people will have trained not in the airplane, but you've trained in the simulator, which is fine. However, when you start talking about the mentality of the pilots, like when you talk to my friend, it's clear that he has a passion for flying. Yeah. He loves it, and he's flown some of my favorite airplanes ever. Nice. So he's been in the Tornado, he's flown in a Spitfire, and then that was when he was in the RAF, and now when he's into the commercial world, he's done the 737 jumbo jets, he's done the Dreamliners, he's done
fantastic,
all
of them,
all of the good stuff.
That's fantastic.
He sent me a picture once, and of his cockpit, and I was like, what is that? And he said, it's just like a giant Game Boy with wings these days,
I suppose.
Which is his his humor, and I don't disagree.
Yeah.
My point of the story is that he's noticed a specific shift from pilots back in the day loved to be in the air. Mm-hmm. They cared about how smooth the takeoff was. Mm-hmm. They cared about how smooth the ride was, how it landed, and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Spoke to the aircraft, that type of level of passion, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now he started to see a change where people were they were qualified commercial airline pilots. Mm-hmm. But it was, okay, tell me what I need to do to get to being a captain. And that was the focus. I want to be a captain of an aeroplane. Mm. That is it. Well, what else do you want to do? I just want to fly the plane. Mm-hmm. And that when you kind of let that sink in and you digest it a little bit, they're two different people, because now you've got somebody that's passionate about being in the air, flying an airplane, versus somebody that's transactional.
That was exactly the word I was thinking, passion. One sounds like a passion, one doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same conversation I was having with a good friend of mine when I was in Mallorca riding my bike earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember the conversation, but I know I was probably getting a little bit heated about it.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and he said, "You know what, Simon?" He said, "There's cyclists and there's bike riders. And we're bike riders."
Fantastic.
Or it may have been the other way around. But anyway, and the difference is, it's like, well, if you're a bike rider, then you know what you kind of know what you're doing. You're doing it for being a passion. Mm-hmm. It is the other way around. If you're a cyclist, you know you're doing it for a passion.
Yeah.
You're doing it for lots of reasons. Mm-hmm. It makes you happy. Makes it soup for the soul. You can get on a bike, you do it for an hour, and you come back a completely different person. Bike riders are doing it because I'm going out to ride my bike. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which then, to bring it back to ageism, or age in the workforce, what you should be looking for is people with passion, regardless of age.
Which is void of age, which we said it right at the beginning. It's void of age. Age has got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Because I do believe that passion doesn't ever go away. You can see how it lights people up.
And when people are worried about, when society is worried about the encroachment of AI, into the world, whether it's through replacing jobs with automation, with art, with those AI things,
embrace AI.
Yeah, but never forget that AI doesn't have the passion, and we as our advanced little monkeys.
Yes,
we identify that passion.
Yep.
Just to make a really quick story, one of my favorite guitarists was talking about how you'll see people on Instagram, kids with guitars, and he goes, and they're doing 5 billion notes per second, and they're doing it so perfectly, it's crazy. And he goes, and I can't compete with them. He says, but there's something about sitting on your chair in front of a computer with a video camera, robotically performing these notes, or you get on stage in front of people and you connect with them, and that passion comes through. You may not be the best guitarist in the world, but that's what we crave. That we notice, we identify passion, we crave that passion, we crave it out of others. When we see other people who are passionate, it fuels us as well. We just become a sponge. If I'm around a lot of passionate people, I feel it, and I'm passionate. I want to be part of it.
It's so absorbing. You can't help but get sucked into whatever.
Right. Oh, fantastic.
Whatever environment
everything.
It is.
From guitar playing to, I don't know, Boogie's Burgers. I'm very passionate about them, by the way. Very passionate.
Well, again, at staying on the music top, my son sent me a text. He's like, "Dad, Ariel Poston's in town." I'm like, "Okay." Didn't know who he was.
Okay. I didn't know who that was either. So,
breakout artist 2021, 2022, got albums out, all of that kind of stuff. But my son knows that I love the sound of electric guitar, especially when an electric guitar is in the hands of somebody that has the correct passion.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean? We're not talking about the stuff where you're reading music and that kind of stuff, but he was like, "Dad, they're in town. Should we go to the gig?" And it was midweek. I'm like, "Whatever, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. Fantastic.
Let's just go." And it was just the passion that to see my son light up, and he kept looking at me as if to say, "I told you it was good. I told you it was good."
And
it's so good.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
it's so good. It fuels everything. But
passion drove my entire music career. I shouldn't say career. I think I've in total made maybe $2,000 over my 35 years. So, but yeah, is that passion. I cannot read a note of music. I've never learned how to read music.
Then you are more of I would argue that you're probably the more passionate musician.
Yes. I do need to know more theory.
Probably the more skilled musician, because you're in a category on your own.
Yeah.
That again, I tell lots of people to look for these folks.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my client only the other day.
Yeah.
Because they were listing off, we want this person to do this, and I said, that's not on a job description. It's not on a job description.
Yeah.
But I think I know 2 or 3 people that can line up to that, because what we're talking about there is passion, experience, knowledge, probably been beat up a little bit by the industry.
Right.
Either way, they've identified a problem, got good at identifying problems, and worked out a way of still being successful.
Yeah.
Which, bringing it back to being a musician, if you wanted to play guitar,
yep, nothing's going to stop me.
There you go.
Yeah.
End of story.
End of story. Yep. Yeah.
How'd you do that, Jace? I played the guitar.
Yep.
And early on in the years, you probably had that guitar in your hand 18 hours out of 24.
The summer of 1989, I pretty much gave up on all my friends. They didn't matter to me because I was in my room and I was playing that damn guitar. All the Def Leppard hits I could possibly learn that summer, and then Metallica hits. Yeah, so
what a thing!
Yeah, that was
what a thing!
Yeah,
but it's the same. Again, my age is personal preference, but I do think that corporations, companies, locally, regional companies, and global companies owe it to themselves to keep all generations connected and working together and passionate, and stop being in such a rush to. Yeah, it's okay. With all of that team's retiring in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
and then putting them over in a proverbial corner and giving them rudimentary duties to kind of happily do for the next 5 years until they hit age. Don't do that. Like, put them back into the Formula One. Here's an example. I'm going to bring it back to sport. Formula One has the Aston Martin team. One of their drivers is 42 years old.
That's pretty old in the racing.
That's old in sport, full stop. Yeah. At that level. Yeah. Because typically, especially in my chosen sport, like it used to be you were done by the time you were 28, 29.
Really?
Now you've got guys that have got careers well into their late 30s, into their 40s. And why? Because the psychologists, the team psychologists, the sports psychologists, they're bringing that experience back because they needed to teach the younger guys what to do.
Right.
Because the job's more than just getting in a car and driving it fast.
Right.
The job's more than just sitting on a bike and
pedaling away.
Pedaling it fast. Yeah. There's more to it than that. Yeah. You've got to learn the code, the racing code, like how to just do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I'm slowly seeing it back in business. But it's good to see that. I'm saying we need more of it
Yeah.
And we don't need to be scared of age. Like, let people like you and I be scared about age, because I'm kind of thinking, well, shit, I've got a big long list. I've got a big long list of stuff that I still want to get done.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Same here.
Right.
Same
So
here.
I've kind of my problem is making sure that my body still behaves itself and behaves as something that's 20 years younger than what it is now, right?
Yeah. Do you know what the scariest number to me right now is?
Go on.
15. What I mean by that is it's approximately 15 years until I'm supposed to retire.
We're not retiring though.
No, exactly. But I'm just saying that cultural expectation, or the expectation we had as a kid with the check boxes that you're supposed to be done at 65.
Well, society will have, that's when, and that's, yes.
And I'm scared of it. I'm scared of that number. I know it sounds weird, but it's because I don't plan on retire at 65. Well, but it still feels like it's a hard line that I have to make a decision at.
Yeah. Well, it's a societal number.
Yeah.
That you get to where probably we're not required to be around. So the comments will be, and I know I'm still going to be around because I've got no intention of retiring at all.
Good.
I'll do less, but I'm still in the game.
Yeah.
That's the age when people will likely turn around and go, are you still here?
Right.
You got something else to do? It's like, no, I'm still relevant. I've been devoting my life to making sure that I'm still relevant. And so I'm staying here.
And I don't want applause because of my age. There's an age thing that bothers me. That you hear, like, oh, he's 98 years old. Oh, well done. It's like you're applauding that I haven't kicked the bucket yet. Like, I don't know. It's silly things that I don't understand why we applaud.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
I mean, but don't we have one of the best business minds out there in Warren Buffett? Like, how old's that guy?
Yeah, right. 26, 27, roughly.
my point is, if you want some advice on doing anything, you'd probably go have 10 minutes with him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very much so.
So it's curious. I don't have the answers. I don't want to get into the legalities of ageism and how it sits in the legal world of HR and mitigation, litigation, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Just sharing comments, feelings, attitudes, because I think it is ages and attitude. There you go.
Yeah, it's. I mean, between you, me, and these listeners, I have frequently measured myself about who I am as a person by what I do.
Yep.
And whenever I found myself without a job, there's more baggage on that than just not having a job. I feel like I've lost part of my identity, and it's always.
Well, that's a generational thing.
Yeah.
And there's more stuff around.
Right.
Like, if you've always carried that, same as if you've been that person in the family that has been the
breadwinner,
the source of income, the source of truth.
Yeah.
Can we go on vacation, Dad?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And you're saying that in the back of your mind, going, yeah, well, I'm still working, so we're fine. Let's get a vacation.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about there, if like you say yes to vacation and then you don't have a very nice conversation the next day at work, and you're back out there looking.
Yeah.
That's when all of this hits home, right? Because that's when you wish you would have probably paid more attention, potentially, to being relevant, keeping up to date with IT, not being, as you were saying the other day, a second ago, hubris about, this is the way I've done it for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's never going to change.
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't Blockbuster say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary, but I do believe that, and that's what's driven. We choose to take that fear as a motivator. I would sooner take it as a motivator and turn it into something that's chasing me.
Yeah. And I think in the end, I'd like to phase out and into things at my own pace, I think.
That's good. You're opening up a big box of worms, because sometimes you haven't got a choice.
No, that's the problem. Yeah. So sometimes
you haven't got a choice. You got to double time.
And those will come to you. Those will come at you, whether you're ready for them or not, all the way through your life, from birth till death. But there's certain things you can do to try to help you. I think of course, there's my full-time job, but at the same time, I have passions that go outside of work as well. So
you're talking about balance?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, and some of them can feed. Like, there's obviously doing this podcast.
Yes.
Doing this, when we're done doing this, there's going to be many hours of me slaving away with Premiere Pro, Apple Logic here to trim it all up, do that. But that's just a passion thing for me, and I love it. And could turn to a little side gig. I don't know. Maybe when I'm, if I'm older and maybe one career phases out, this other one's phasing in. Maybe I'll finally become a rock star at 65. I don't know.
They're still doing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm always going to play guitar. That's already, right until my dying day. One day I'll be a weekly regular at a open mic, and then one week I won't be there, and people will ask where did he go, and that's fine. I never want to stop.
So that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So
perfect way to run it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we could talk about this forever, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could, definitely. How far are we into it right now? Oh, geez, I don't actually have a timer. I didn't put a timer on today. No, I didn't.
That's okay. We're good on time. We're good on time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how it looks, because then you can put it back to the science around a relationship, can't we? Which we'll take on in greater detail in our next podcast, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that the age piece, the importance of of relationship.
Yep.
Because it's always been, and again, another story to kind of validate what I'm saying here is when it's always come to recruitment, I've never, and I'm talking about building a team, and thankfully I've been trusted. I'm very grateful to the folks out there that have trusted me to build teams for them, yourself included. I've never ever put those kind of current restrictions and what appears to me to be social need to put a label on something, never existed in that. And the one thing that I've always said to my managers and my clients is, well, let's do this by finding the best person, the best people, the best team of people.
Yeah.
And that comes, and the way it looks is going to be the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to be a Picasso.
No.
Who cares? Because the focus is the right people culture, the right thought process together. How do you jive as a team together? It's like that all happens for that to happen organically, you're looking for the best people.
Yeah.
Not a
number,
not an alphanumeric, something that AI or ChatGPT has churned out, because that doesn't exist, which thankfully, back to your earlier point, that's what all of the experts are saying, is that AI and ChatGPT will never ever replace, not never ever, I shouldn't say that.
It augments
it augments, but it should not replace this.
No.
What's going on?
No.
This is Simon and Jason in a room chatting. It should never replace that.
And if there has been nothing else learned from the pandemic and isolation, is people matter. It's these interactions that matter
100%.
more than anything else, really. Yeah. So the people skills are so important. So
social interaction.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So what are we going to ask our viewers to do if they're watching this podcast, Jason?
Right. So there should be a nice subscribe button down over there somewhere. Not exactly sure. Hit that subscribe button. And there's a option.
Is there a bell thing?
There's a bell thing as well. Bell notifications. Yes. You put those, you'll get notified every single time we have a new podcast or episode on there.
I want to, and we do want to know, people, your comments.
Don't forget to leave comments as well. Thanks, Simon.
Comments.
Thanks for that. That's good. Definitely leave your comments.
Because I want to know that we're helping. We genuinely want to help folks.
And ask us questions about anything. We'll read them on air as well. I mean, as long as they're safe as well.
And it can be you can ask us whichever way you want to ask us. If you know us, it's easier because you can either call us or drop us a text.
That's right.
But it's I guess what we want to take on, again, the narrative of the podcast is to take on eradicate the ambiguity around the topic of age, because I don't think it should matter. It shouldn't factor.
No, shouldn't.
I think when you talk about age, it's more fear related than it is anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that is fear from the other side of the table as well as this side of the table.
Mm.
From this side of the table, it's like, oh, am I good enough?
Mm.
Am I still good enough?
Yeah.
Which is fine. And at that point, that's when and it goes both ways, younger generation and older generation. Am I good enough? And then at the younger generation should be saying, well, yeah, you are. Look at what you've shown me.
Yeah.
Like I'm this because of I sat down and listened to you for the last 4 or 5 months or whatever the time was.
Yeah.
And we should be doing the same back to the younger generation as well. It's like,
exactly, yeah.
you have helped me so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it to my kids all the time. I'm like,
the younger generations have as valuable information to share with us.
Well, yeah, Dad, this is how it works. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't close your ears. Don't close your ears to the older generation or to the younger generation.
Everybody's relevant.
Everyone's relevant.
Everybody's relevant. Everybody deserves an ear.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if it's a point that the individual needs to share, then it needs to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to look for us on all the podcatchers out there. We're on Podbean. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify.
YouTube.
iHeartRadio.
Yes. Instagram.
Well, you can definitely follow us there for sure. Yeah. We'll have all the links there. Yeah. So chatwiththeyesmen.com as well. We have all the links there as well. So you can follow us. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, not Twitter. I don't want to. Threads, the Instagram's version of Twitter. We're on there.
So there's no excuse not to see us, folks.
Exactly.
No excuse not to see us.
No excuse. It's fantastic. Trying to put us everywhere except for TikTok. I also don't get that, so it's just not going to happen. I don't. I talked to my kid about. I'm like, should we put ourselves on TikTok?
Are you showing your age, Jason?
I am. Yeah. I think at some point you get to a certain age where the one technology just becomes, no, that's it. I'm not going there. Snapchat was my first one. TikTok is I'm not going there.
Don't have it. No. I don't have it.
No.
I have. Let's do the rundown because that'd be fun. I've got Instagram. I've got Facebook. I've got Pinterest. I have LinkedIn. That's it for the socials.
Well, let's have a look here on my computer because I can actually check my bookmarks.
That is. How many? So I've got 4.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I'm trying my hardest to do the Threads thing. It's kind of their Facebook / Instagram's attempt at trying to do a Twitter.
Okay.
Because to me, Twitter became like the cesspool of ugliness since somebody took it over without name dropping anyone. I just don't want to be a part of that. So,
but it's also had 2-3 years where people just went. It was full of keyboard warriors, and then Facebook's like that as well. Really. Yeah. It's just.
I'm a gentle soul. I can't handle those horrible comments on social media. So be nice to us, please. Please be nice to us. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry, man. I don't want this podcast to make me cry.
That's going to happen at some point.
I'm sure. Yeah,
we will.
Definitely.
We will.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for tuning in to the second episode of Chat with the Yes Men. I'm Jason Wiles and
Simon Crouch, TEEMA Solutions.
Wonderful. And we're signing off. Thanks, everyone.